Hello, Padres fans, and welcome back to another video. Ethan and Brandon here to talk about the big news on campus. Michael King is returning to the Padres on a $75 million contract. It is so good to have him back, coming back to the Padres. Man, did we need it after Dylan Cease, of course, left the Padres. We were talking about so much how the Padres have had no movement during this winter offseason, but it's good to see that after no movement for so long, Michael King is returning into the bullpen. So, Brandon, as always, I want to get your thoughts on this. It looks like it's some really positive vibes here.
It's funny because hours before Michael King signed with the Padres, we made a video about how the Padres hadn't done anything in the offseason, which you guys may not even see that video. It's just, again, it's a testament to AJ Preller, who we've talked about it a lot. The Padres don't really have a big budget this offseason. Obviously, we know that they're, kind of strapped for prospects as well. So a trades kind of, seemed difficult. We didn't really know where they were going to get the rotation reinforcements, but it was in the form of Michael King, which is a huge boon. I mean, he was not at his best in 2025. He had a couple injuries, but we saw what he can be when he's fully healthy in 2024. Through 2.95 ERA and about 175 innings. Really, really looked like an ace. That's going to be the hope, obviously, for 2026. I'll note, of course, that his contract is for 3 years, but there are opt-outs after every single year. So there's room for interpretation here. He might just be around for one more year before hitting the free agent market again. Maybe he sticks around for all 3 years. It's hard to say, but at this point in time, this is really, really good news for San Diego because now him and Nick Pivetta will be the co-aces for a staff that really needed reinforcements at the top of the rotation.
Yeah, it was getting really worrisome, kind of looking towards if he was going to sign or not, because if Michael King went to any other team in the MLB, I think we really would have been up what's creek without a paddle. Nick Pivetta
Mhm.
is a great pitcher, but we really needed that second ace in the lineup. If you look at other teams like the Boston Red Sox, for example, they have people like Garrett Crochet to, start off, an inning. But, if you look to somebody like Brian Bayo after that, things kind of fall off. So if you only had somebody like Nick Pivetta for the Padres in the upcoming season, we would have been in real trouble. So this re-signing of Michael King is great. It's past the point, obviously, where Dylan Cease is long
Mhm.
gone by now, but having Michael King, like you said, as this second ace is really great. And if we could get somebody else as our third, that would be wonderful too. The question is, who is it going to be at this point? Is it going to be a prospect who's going to come up and rise the ranks? Is it going to be, like you said, it's going to kind of be hard to execute a trade at this point because we have so little money to spend. But, it's not
Mhm.
impossible.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's important to note beyond just obviously getting Michael King, and his talent back in the rotation, this takes a lot of burden off of Joe Musgrove to come back super healthy and pitch like an ace again. It takes a lot of burden off JP Sears to pitch really well at the back end of the rotation. Obviously it would still be great if those guys can do that, but it's just, there's a weight lifted even off Nick Pivetta's shoulders. I mean, he was really going to be the only reliable starter heading into opening day. And now you at least have a second guy who, as long as he's healthy, you can trust him to give you a competitive start every single time. And so, again, it's just the domino effect that we talk about of adding high level talent, and again, that's why the Padres, despite their many sort of constraints this offseason, needed to find a way to do that. Obviously, it would be great, like you said, if they can add another one. Again, I still think someone like Framber Valdez or Ranger Suarez is probably out of their price range, but there's still room here, maybe for like a Freddie Peralta trade. Again, it's hard to say at this point in time, directly after the Kings signing. But again, it's awesome to see that again, we were talking about how Fernando Tatis and Nick Pivetta and Mason Miller were back in, trade rumors. We were worried that maybe this was going to be the beginning of a rebuild, but clearly, at least for 2026, by re-signing King, the Padres are announcing, "Hey, we're ready to go back all in on this core for at least one more season."
Yeah, I'm really excited to see now, like you said, if there's any other movements that are going to be made for the bullpen. And we're going to talk about in another video how we've acquired some other players, not for the pitching staff, but in general, the Padres have other things in mind for 2026. Again, that'll be for another video. For now, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below about Michael King returning to the Padres. Are you happy? We'd be really surprised if you weren't, but of course, we'd love to hear any and all thoughts in the comments section below and be responding to every single one.